Burning Man was this week, and if I called it what I thought it was, then YouTube would demonetize this. So let's just call it a cluster duck. We had climate protests blocking the roads and the climate destroying the Burning Man event itself, turning it into a muddy mess. We'll be talking about that here on The Left Wing. I'm John Cooper from Counterpoint Politics, joined by my co-hosts Desmond Price of the Independent Thought Podcast and TJ Whitehead of Powers Taken, Not Given. So here's the rundown of what happened, guys. We had just an absolute muddy mess, terrible storms coming through Burning Man, ruining the event for everyone. Very similar to how the event was kind of ruined last year by very high, over 100-degree heats. It's becoming a tradition that this festival is getting destroyed by climate change. And the real thrust of this story is that it's the people who are going to the event that are massively contributing to climate change itself. Now, there's a lot of different angles to this, but what I find most interesting is that a lot of people think of Burning Man as the hippie commune, but it isn't that anymore. It's become this Silicon Valley tech bro billionaire orgy hangout where people are literally, they're flying in on private jets, they're setting up these massive air-conditioned domes, they have these giant multi-million-dollar setups just for this event, and it is kind of, to me, a symbol of what climate activism in America has become, where you have these carbon footprint offsets that aren't actually doing anything and just allowing these ultra wealthy people contributing disproportionately to climate change to feel good about themselves while actively continuing to destroy the planet and really not doing what is required of us to actually make significant change in the fight for against climate change. There's a couple different interesting facts about this, but I wanted to first throw it to you guys to see what you thought of it.
Well, so the thing that stuck out to me the most was obviously I did feel bad for the people that were, stuck there, because when I thought about it, they were hit with like two ecological situations that you wouldn't ever think of, being drenched and soaked in a desert. That's something like that would not cross my mind. Like if I was packing for a trip to the middle of Nevada, like rain gear and all weather tires, this is not something that would ever be on the list. That was the first thing I thought. I did feel bad for him with that. Second, it's kind of off topic, but in researching this, because I didn't know a whole lot about Burning Man, I heard of it, but I didn't know. But DJ Diplo, this guy kept showing. Did you guys? He kept showing up in every news article I read about it, every report I saw about it. I'd never heard of this guy, and they were like lumping him in with celebrities like Chris Rock, and I was like, "Who the hell is DJ Diplo? I don't know anything about this guy." But I looked him up, and I got it right here. The guy co-wrote "Paper Planes" by MIA. Okay. He produced Beyonce's album Lemonade. He produced multiple songs and albums with Drake, Snoop, Madonna. So, I mean, his track record's a mile long. So, yeah, okay, I guess that guy really is a celebrity. I thought, just some stupid like that. But that was kind of weird. But about Burning Man itself, what you mentioned there, John, is that, what it's it was very fascinating looking at what Burning Man started as and what it's evolved into, because I guess it was just a few guys like in San Francisco, and they burned an effigy of the Burning Man is burning the man. It's not like a Wicker Man thing. It's just like he's burning the man. It's like it was supposed to be like an anti-capitalist protest thing, but as time's gone on, it's evolved into like a 70,000 person. It costs $600 just to show up. You got to supply your own food. Yeah, you got to supply your own food, so your own transportation, everything. And they had this thing. It was funny because it started off as anti-capitalist, but they refer to it as, I can't remember, radical self-reliance. That's the phrase that they kept using. It's like that's not anti-capitalist at all. And And so
if you can pay $70,000 to go to a festival in a desert, no, you are the man that is burning.
It's 70,000 people, not $70,000. But
you're right. It wasn't, but it was like 3,000. It was several thousand.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I mean, if you got to pay for everything for that entire time you're out there. But I want to talk about the first time I heard about Burning Man. and that was in the early 2000s, and it was the show Reno 911. And Lieutenant Dangle made some sort of joke about Burning Man, and I assumed it was like a gay thing, like a gay bacchanalia. That's what I thought, and it kind of is that. I mean, it's not a gay thing, but it's a minor version of Bohemian Grove. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bohemian Grove, but for the listeners who aren't, Bohemian Grove is a exclusive all-male club in California that the members are the highest members of high society. There's politicians, there's billionaires, and they get together for 2 weeks every year.
Pray to the owl god.
Yeah. Yes, the owl god. I'm going to bring that up. Thank you. And they get together for 2 weeks every year, and they do three things. They network. They do three things. They network, do drugs, and do prostitutes. That's what they do for that time they're out there. And Alex Jones actually made his bones breaking into Bohemian Grove, and he recorded the owl god ceremony, because when it starts, they have all these, it's in the middle of the night. They have all these guys in hoods and robes and stuff, and they bring this effigy out in front of this 40-foot owl statue, and they light this mannequin on fire, and it's called the cremation of care. And it's supposed to simulate the mannequin simulates your cares and your worries in the world. But you can guess what Alex Jones thought when he saw that, and how he was talking about how this is Beelzebub, and this is the coming satanic overlords going over us.
Upon further research of the ritual you just witnessed, it becomes clear it is a mixture of the Babylonian Canaanite cult of Moloch fused with ancient Druidic rites, where you have the female side of Satan, which they first call out to in the she, and then towards the horn god with the he, mixed with Masonic rites from Scotland.
And I always thought it was something like that, but it turns out just to be like a diet version of that. And like you said, John, the hypocrisy of the people that do this, because it's like, hey, it's cool, it's Burning Man, it's awesome, but I was kind of stuck in between feeling bad for them and well, fuck these guys. I mean, they're the ones that are hurting it anyway. So I don't know. I just saw it as a great learning experience. Everyone's fine. And I did watch a clip from the Young Turks about this, and they brought up something very interesting that, whenever you go through, if you think back to the times in your life where you went through something really difficult and really hard with other people, you bond really strongly. And in the military, it's like that. Like the closest friends I've ever made are in military schools and military deployments, because these people for only a year, 6 months maybe, but you go through such awful shit together that you feel like you've known each other for 10 years. So they're going to be fine, folks. They're going to be fine. They're going to talk about this Burning Man event for the next 40 years of their lives. Don't feel too bad for them. That's how I feel.
I'm a little confused as to what the backlash is around this, truthfully. If we're just kind of just laying it out for what it is. And somebody else, I'd love for someone to explain this to me. John, if you did this, or TJ, if you felt this way, it feels like it's getting a disproportionate amount of pushback from people on the left compared to maybe other events that we've seen around the world, other festivals, other giant, get-togethers. I'm very confused as to why Burning Man in particular is, receiving all the different blowback that it was receiving on TikTok, and people kind of taking so much, joy out of what was happening there. What part of the story are we missing as to why so many people were so, in fact, I guess, stuck on this story? John, what are your thoughts on that?
So I think the reason for this is that it's a little bit of a look and see whatever you want kind of thing. Kind of like what we talked about with the sub, to a lesser degree, but how you could look at anyone from any walk of life could look at that and find something to get pissed off about. That's also what's going on with Burning Man, because on one level, you had the climate activist protest that happened before it. And to go into that, you had people from, I believe it was Climate Rebellion,
Climate Defiance.
Climate Defiance, yeah. And Extinction Rebellion, that was the other one. But they got together, they blockaded the road that everyone takes to do this. And that anytime climate activists or any protesters blockade a road, it's always a controversial thing. You had them doing that and everyone getting pissed off at them. You had the local indigenous tribe was pissed off at the climate protesters. They were actually the ones who sent the police that ended up ramming. They were basically attached to this trailer and they just rammed the trailer off the road with the police truck, and the police officer was like, I'm going to get rid of all of you if you don't move. But like, so that's an interesting thing where it's like, okay, yes, we don't like the police, but also we support indigenous rights to govern their own land. And it's like, oh, well, there's a lot of nuance here. You can get mad at this any way you wanted. You have as you mentioned, and as the Burning Man Festival, organizers have said, like, yeah, they do take a lot of strides to be one of the most eco-friendly festivals in the world. It's probably not nearly as ecologically bad as some of these other massive festivals world over. But on the flip side of that, there's the massive, giant hypocrisy of the entire thing. Like how we mentioned, these are people who are extremely influential at this point. The man that is being burned are the people who are going to this event. And it gives a very Elon Musk feel of like, yeah, that independent, that like, oh yeah, we're gonna be strong, fiercely independent, but we're actually kind of just fascists. Like that's kind of the feel that Burning Man has developed over the years. And it started as this hippie commune that has turned into that. And I think there's a lot of just like, I don't know, impotent rage at that is kind of being directed at the festival. And also Burning is just a thing that people are interested in. Even people don't know about it. Like, oh, that seems cool. A giant fucking orgy in the desert. Like, I'll click on that. And so I think as much as like, I kind of agree, this is kind of much ado about nothing. It is going to get clicks, and, I was kind of like, oh, should the climate activists be attacking this event that is by other standards better than others? But it'll get the clicks, man, and it has, and that's what we've kind of seen. I think that's the reason this story, just all of the different angles, everyone can find something to be mad about.
It's funny. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, actually, no, I don't want to switch the conversation. TJ, go ahead really quickly, and then I'm going to follow up.
It's funny and it's ironic, and people love that, and it plays into just like, everyone knows that you can't be half a gangster. You can't. And so like, you can't say, hey, look, we're gonna speak out against climate. We're the hippies, we're the cool people. And you have a CEO and you have like all these people that making millions of dollars off of this event. It reminded me, John, when you were talking about the climate part specifically, I remember many, many moons ago, I was watching an NFL playoff game. And Bob Costas was announcing, the pregame. And Bob Costas said, all right, so for the next 10 seconds, we're going to shut off all the lights in this stadium. Like, there's going to be no light here at all. It'll be complete darkness in the middle of the night for 10 seconds as like to bring awareness to climate change. And we're going to cut off all the power here to reduce, the footprint that we're leaving here. I said, all right, but you're still going to play the game. Like you're still going to play the game, which is burning 10 millions amount of the carbon that you shut off for that 10 seconds. It's exactly like that, because people just like seeing, assholes get their comeuppance. And so it's not malicious, I don't think, in any way, but it is funny.
All right, guys, thanks for watching part 1 of our segment on the Burning Man climate catastrophe. We'll be discussing why this was such a big deal relative to other climate protests and other festivals, why it's getting so much attention online in part 2 of this video. So make sure to stay tuned to the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe so you know when it goes up.